Hi, welcome back. We're working outdoors today. So, this project will require power tools. I know, it's kind of scary, but I would consider myself mildly certified because I've watched plenty of YouTube videos. So, disclaimer, don't try this at home or do, but I didn't tell you to do it. I'm just gonna show you how to make this out of 3 rugs and 18 of these things. They're huge. They're like 8 feet. But I have 18 of these, 3 rugs. We'll need staples and some kind of saw and 2 packs of hinges, which I will leave a little list here if you would like to do what I am doing. So I came across this project, Doom Scrolling, so it was actually another lady that found it, and I will shout her video out right here. And I immediately dropped what I was doing and went to the store. So altogether, we were about $95 in-ish. I'm running my mouth. Why don't we just get to the fun part? So I'm gonna start by preconditioning the wood for staining, and I'm gonna use this Minwax pre-stain. I advise wearing gloves with this and then having an old rag. And what we're gonna do is just dip and then wipe it down. And we're gonna do that to all of them. The reason I precondition the wood is because the conditioner helps the stain absorb more evenly. But to be honest, if we're being real here, I used it so I didn't have to sand down all the boards. However, if you don't want to get yelled at by a woodworker, you should use a fine grit sandpaper first and lightly sand it, because that actually opens up the pores. Okay, I just finished pre-staining all the boards. Now I'm gonna go in with these 3 stains. And you may be asking, why are you going in with 3 different stains? And it's because they're all about halfway. So I figured, why not mix them together so I don't have to go to the store? They're all close enough. I'm like, it'll be fine. So I am gonna change into some clothes that I don't care about, because I did just get these overalls. I really don't want to mess them up. So if you see me looking like a homeless person, you didn't. I'm in my staining fit. I gotta represent the KC. We're gonna do the exact same process. I'm gonna dip my rag in the stain and just wipe down all the boards. Now that the stain is dry, I'm going to start cutting all the boards to size. I originally calculated that I'd need 18 boards total, but halfway through the project, we decided to build almost a double frame. The first version felt a little too flimsy. I didn't totally trust that it wouldn't collapse as soon as we stood it up, so we fixed that by adding a second layer of wood to reinforce the corners where everything connects. So if I misspoke earlier in the video, that's why. With the updated plan though, I cut 12 boards at 47 inches, 3 boards at 51 inches, and left 12 boards uncut. For the face of the wall, you're going to need 2 8-foot boards and then the 2 boards that you cut down to 47 inches. And then you see me just mapping this all out on the ground first. It doesn't have to be perfect at this stage. Once I had the boards roughly mapped out, I grabbed my square and started lining up the corners. This part is really important because if the corners aren't actually square, the whole frame can start to twist or lean once it's standing. So I took a minute to make sure everything was plumb. When I was happy with the alignment, I tacked the corners with just a couple staples. After that, I switched to the brad nailer and secured the board through the sides. Before moving on to the bottom rail, I paused and brought the rug over. I used the rug as a guide to see where it was wanting to lay naturally, because those rugs I found weren't true to size. With that being said, I laid the rug out first and then tacked it all the way across the top with staples. Once that was secured, I pulled the rug down to stretch it into place. Doing it in this order gives you a really clean, tight finish and keeps the rug from sagging or hanging out the bottom of the rail. After everything was lined up and squared, I nailed the bottom board into the 2 legs to lock the whole frame together. One little tip here, you should alternate sides while you're stapling. This keeps the tension even so you're not accidentally pulling and drifting off center as you work down the wall. But we're not done yet. Now that the hardest part is out of the way, I grabbed 2 more 8-foot boards and 2 more 47-inch boards and built a second frame. This one basically acts as a lid. It sandwiches the rug between the 2 frames so everything feels solid and finished. I lined up the boards the same way as before, checked the corners were square and everything was meeting up where it was supposed to, and then I nailed everything together with the brad nailer. And you can really start to see the wall taking shape, but we're still not done. You'll need to grab 2 more 8-foot boards and 1 board at 51 inches. The width of the board was just perfect to turn on its face, so I nailed it to the sandwich frame, not only to clean up the raw edges, but also to overlap the corners to reinforce the whole frame even more. For the final touches, I went ahead and added these gold hinges to connect all 3 panels together. I love using decorative hardware because it instantly makes it feel more elevated, even though it's doing a super practical job. Once the hinges were on though, the whole wall was finally starting to look like one cohesive piece instead of 3 separate frames. So the last thing we needed to do was trim the legs down to size, and I will fully admit I am terrified of the skill saw. I don't know what it is about that tool, but the second it turns on, my soul leaves my body. So I asked my fiance very kindly, and he stepped in and made those cuts for me. He measured out everything. But we finally stood the whole thing up for the first time, and it was such a satisfying moment. The best part is how much privacy it gives. Please let me know in the comments if you try this or if you want the full material list. Other than that, that's all I got. Thanks for watching. Bye!